Very fresh and a very wonderful morning to one and all present here. Myself Zainab Kagdi from Atmiya Green School, Jadeshwar, Bharuch. We are back with English subject and for class 8. As we have successfully completed half of the lesson, today we'll understand the rest of the lesson. We'll just have a quick review of what we studied earlier by reading the summary of the lesson and we'll discuss about its writer. So let us begin. This is your section number 2 of your unit 5 on page number 100. In order to appreciate the numerous themes of journey to the center of the earth, it is important to understand its historical context. The novel was published in 1864 and the events in it take place in 1863. As you can see in the picture, that is a novel. It is a part of the novel written by Jules Verne, Journey to the Center of the Earth. At that time, much of the earth was still being explored and discovered. Additionally, it was a time of scientific inquiry when many educated people had the thirst for new knowledge and new ideas. Journey to the Center of the Earth is a classic science from fiction novel by Jules Verne. So this is a novel written by Jules Verne and this is a story of a time when people were searching for truth. They were thirsty of knowing new knowledge, of gaining new knowledge and new ideas. So this on the screen you can see that is Jules Verne. You can see this is Jules Verne. Sorry, this is Jules Verne. So here he was born on 8th February 1828 from France. He died on 24th March 1905 in France. His resting place was La Madeleine Cemetery, Amiens, France. His nationality was French, period 1850 to 1905. His noble works, when we talk about Around the World in 80 Days, Journey to the Center of the Earth, which we are reading today, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, The Mysterious Island, From Earth to the Moon. All these were published in the Voyages Extraordinary series. Let us understand this lesson by reading its summary. So here we'll understand its summary. Professor Lidenbrock and his nephew Axel discover a message left by explorer Ern Seknussemm in the pages of an ancient Icelandic saga. It tells of a passageway to the center of the earth through the crater of volcano in Iceland. They follow this path along with a guide named Hans and eventually discover many awesome wonders such as a vast underground sea, prehistoric creatures, strange plants, and even human like giants. They are finally ejected through the vent of a volcano onto Stromboli, an island in Italy. So here we are having two characters. First is Professor Lidenbrock and second is Axel Lidenbrock, who is the nephew of Lidenbrock. So they discover a message left by explorer Ernest Seknussemm. So there was an explorer, his name was Ernest Seknussemm, and he had left a message, and in that message it was written a way to the center of the earth. So that message told about the passageway to the center of the earth through the crater of a volcano in Ireland. So they were following that steps written in the message in order to find the center of the earth. They follow this path along with a guide named Hans. So they were having the guide, this Hans you can see in the picture, and eventually discover many awesome wonders. So along with the center of the finding the journey to the center of the earth, they also found different and awesome wonders such as vast underground sea, prehistoric creatures, strange plants, and even human like giants. They are finally ejected through the vent of the volcano onto Stromboli, an island of Italy. In Jules Verne's Journey to the Center of the Earth, a geology professor, Otto Lidenbrock, and his nephew Axel discover and decode an ancient document that shows that a dormant volcano, sorry, a dormant volcano holds a secret entrance to a series of caverns leading to a subterranean world at the Earth's center. In the name of scientific discovery, they follow the instructions and undertake a hazardous journey deep within the Earth where they find different creatures and plants from earlier epochs. In the end, their journey back to the surface of the earth is just as harrowing as the trip down. So they were finding the journey from the center of the earth, and then they went down, and the journey from down to the up. When they their journey back to the surface of the earth, it was as harrowing as the journey to trip to down. So it is a wonderful journey where they went inside and then they came forward to the surface. Its purpose is to disclose the location of a way to reach the center of the earth. So their expedition was to find to reach the center of the earth. Immediately, Otto decides to take up the challenge, with Axel being involuntarily included in on the expedition. Axel reluctantly joins his uncle on a journey to Iceland. In Iceland, Otto and Axel hire a local duck hunter. His name was Hans, to serve as a guide and provide manpower for the expedition. Following the manuscript directions, the three-man team climbs Snæfell and an extinct volcano ropes down inside, and then proceeds to follow a network of tunnels and caverns. The walls are lined with the thousands of fossils, and the floors are covered in the bones and debris of ancient animals. Eventually, the three emerge into a massive underground cavern like space, thousands of feet high. Its width is unknown. Here they discover a great sea. Here you can see in the picture there are three people, correct? Here in the picture you can see there are three people. It's unknown. Here they discover a great sea, distant mountains, ancient forest, roaming mastodons, blind fish, ocean going dinosaurs, and the perfectly preserved, naturally mummified remains of a prehistoric man. The team has reached the center of the earth, which Seknussemm claimed could be found in his manuscript. The appearance presented was that a tropical country at midday in the summer. In the midst of the equatorial regions and under the vertical rays of the sun, all signs of vapor had disappeared. Here you can see in the picture the rocks, the distant mountains, some confused masses of far off forests assumed a weird and mysterious aspect under this equal distribution of the luminous fluid. After we had walked about a mile farther, we came to the edge of a vast forest, not, however, one of the vast mushroom forests we have discovered near Port Gretchen. So that region was glorious and wild vegetation of the tertiary period in all its superb magnificence, the whole bound together by an inextricable and complicated mass of creeping plants. The one thing lacking in these plants, these shrubs, trees, were color. The trees and plants were all colorless, forever deprived of a vivifying warmth of the sun. They were vapid and colorless. All shade was lost in one uniform tint of a brown and faded color. The, the leaves were wholly devoid of green, and the flowers were without color and without perfume, something like paper discolored by long exposure to the atmosphere. Then there appeared, confounded together and intermixed, the trees of such varied land, specimens of the vegetation of every part of the globe. It was enough to drive the most ingenious classifier of the upper regions out of his mind and to upset all his received ideas about botany. Suddenly, I stopped short and restrained my uncle. So here in the picture, you can see that they reached to a forest where the trees were all colorless. They couldn't find anything. I really did see with my own eyes immense, gigantic animals moving about under the mighty trees. In the picture, you can see here that the mighty elephants here are just moving the trunks of the trees. Yes, they were truly gigantic animals, a whole herd of mastodons, not fossils but living. They were living, they were not fossils, and exactly like those discovered in 1801 on the marshy banks of Great Ohio in North America. I could hear the sounds of the mighty tusks uprooting huge trees. The boughs crackled, and the whole masses of leaves and green branches went down the capacious throats of these terrible monsters. Not more than a quarter of a mile off, there was a human being, a man of these subterranean regions, keeping this innumerable world of mastodons. We started running to avoid the danger. We had left bright and transparent forest far behind us. We made our way towards the central sea. I, however, every now and then noticed several groups of rocks. This confirms the indications of the compass of our return to the north of this great central sea. I handed a rusty dagger of a singular shape to my uncle. The blade of the dagger, after being abandoned upon the sand for more than hundred of years, has been invented by someone endeavoring to carve an inscription on his rocks. So here in the picture you can see the three of them, a man who has somewhere written his name with this very dagger, a man who has endeavored once more to indicate the right road to the interior of the earth. वो लोग को रास्ता ढूंढना था. They wanted to reach the center of the earth. There, on a square tablet of granite, we could see two mysterious and much worn letters A S, the two initials of the bold and extraordinary traveler who has preceded us on our adventurous journey, Ern Seknusin. So here this was a story that how they reached the center of the earth, they had the journey and what they found on the journey, and everything was written there. Now here on the screen you can see the vocabulary, that is tertiary means relating to a period 66 million years ago. Inextricable means cannot be separated. Vivifying means making more lively or interesting. So here there's a list of the vocabulary which you need to write in your notebook. This also. Alright. So here vapid means lifeless. Confounded means confused. Ingenious means clever, original and inventive. Restrained means characterized by reserve or moderation. Capacious means having lot of space. Innumerable means too many to be counted. Mastodons means giant elephant-like mammals that flourished from ancient times. Singular means unusual. Endeavoring, try hard to do or achieve something. So here this is the vocabulary part, and here we end up our lesson journey to the center of the earth. I'll be giving you the question answers PDF in your note in your group. So kindly learn that, and you'll be kindly write down the vocabulary. Tick the reading 1 MCQs and vocabulary, that is on your page number 107. We'll be discussing that. Reading 1, the question number 1 is, on the basis of your understanding of the text, answer the following questions. The first is, what does the statement, my eyes were quite prepared for any number of surprises, My imagination lived in expectation of something new and wonderful revealed about the narrator. So here on your page number 106 of your textbook, you have been given some MCQs. We are discussing that MCQs as well as the vocabulary. I'll be sending you the answers of the questions in the form of PDF. Today we'll understand just the MCQs and your vocabulary part. The answer to it is option A, that is option number 1, his adventurous temperament and desire to explore. B is come, he said at last when his first surprise was over. Come along, my boy, and let us see them nearer. What did the speaker wish to see? The gigantic elephants, the huge man, the enormous plants, all of the above. He wished to see, the speaker wished to see the gigantic elephants. What is the mood of the man in the end of the story? The mood is they are very excited. Okay, moving on to the vocabulary part. Here, antonyms, you need to find the suitable antonyms. Antonyms means opposites. What other marvels did this great cavern contain? What other wondrous treasures for the scientific man? So, the word wondrous on page number 107, wondrous, the opposite of it is mundane. Second, imprudent, the opposite of it is judicious. Option B, judicious. For question third, luminous, its opposite is lackluster. Question 4, devoid. Devoid's opposite is replete. Fifth is on page 108, restrained, its opposite is released. Capacious, its opposite is cramped. Incredulity, its opposite is belief. And last but not the least, question 8, profoundly, its opposite is apparently. So kindly take this opposites and MCQs in your textbook, and the rest of the writing work will be given to you in the form of PDF in your WhatsApp group.